In Ghana, it is an open secret that maintaining government machines and vehicles has become more expensive than purchasing new ones. This is one of the major reasons why government vehicles and equipment are often left in a dilapidated state, only to be abandoned or left to rot. The civil servants, administrators, and those in charge of these properties see this as an opportunity for personal gain, exploiting the system. Instead of making genuine efforts to repair government assets, they inflate the repair costs for their own benefit. But should we always blame the government, the politicians, or the civil servants for this? The sad reality is that in many government offices, vehicles with minor issues are parked and neglected due to the exaggerated costs involved in their maintenance. A government vehicle that could be repaired for a relatively modest amount, say $1,000, suddenly becomes a $6,000 project on paper. This inflates the government's expenditure unnecessarily, creating a situation where the state is forced to abandon the repairs altogether. Government transportation systems, such as Metro Mass Transit and STC, are prime examples of this. These services are meant to help the citizens of Ghana, but corruption within the system makes it impossible to maintain them. The drivers want their share of the inflated costs, the mechanics want theirs, the administrators want theirs, and so on. It becomes a cycle of greed, where everyone involved prioritizes their personal gain over the public interest. It seems that the problem runs deep, affecting multiple levels of society. Corruption in the management of government assets leads to an even bigger problem: a culture of neglect. When the cost of maintaining government vehicles and machinery becomes inflated beyond reason, these assets are simply abandoned. Buses and cars that could serve the public are left to rot in government yards. The cost of repairing them is considered too high compared to the price of purchasing new ones, so they are simply forgotten. But should we always blame the government, the politicians, or the civil servants? The truth is, the corruption that causes this neglect is not limited to a few individuals. It is a systemic problem. Many administrators who are appointed to manage government assets know that their jobs are tied to the political party in power. They fear that if there is a change in government, they could lose their positions. As a result, they view their time in office as an opportunity to enrich themselves before they are replaced. This mindset leads to a lack of care for government property. Instead of thinking about the long-term sustainability of government assets, administrators focus on short-term personal gain. They inflate the cost of repairs, pocket the extra money, and leave the vehicles to decay. The result is a growing fleet of broken-down government vehicles, while citizens are left without reliable transportation. Corruption in Ghana extends far beyond the simple mismanagement of government vehicles. It infects every level of the system, from the drivers and mechanics to the administrators and even the highest levels of government. In many cases, the maintenance of government vehicles has become an opportunity for everyone involved to take a cut of the funds. This leads to inflated costs that make it impossible for the government to afford the necessary repairs. Imagine a situation where a vehicle that should cost $1,000 to repair is quoted at $6,000 due to the corrupt practices of those in charge. If the government has a fleet of 50 vehicles that need repairs, they would end up paying exorbitant amounts of money that could have been spent elsewhere. This type of corruption drains the government's resources, leaving fewer funds for other critical needs such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. But should we always blame the government, the politicians, or the civil servants? Corruption has become so widespread that it has become almost impossible to fight. Those who try to be honest and loyal to their positions are often sidelined or even pressured to join the corrupt practices. The system itself seems to reward dishonesty, and those who try to maintain their integrity often find themselves pushed out. The cycle of greed in Ghana is not limited to a few corrupt individuals. It is a system that affects the entire nation. The government is chasing after money, its appointees are chasing after money, and even the workers are chasing after money. Everyone is looking out for their own personal interests, with little regard for the common good. In a system where everyone is looking for their share, it becomes difficult to place the blame on any one group. The problem is not just at the top, but spreads throughout the entire system. Even the youth, who are supposed to be the future leaders of the country, are being corrupted by the system. This creates a situation where it seems almost impossible to fight against corruption. Those who try to make a difference find themselves outnumbered by the corrupt majority. The few loyal and honest Ghanaians who remain are left wondering if they can truly make a difference. Can the minority fight against the majority? It seems unlikely, but the question remains. Should we always blame the government, the politicians, or the civil servants? Or is the problem much deeper, affecting the very fabric of society? The public transportation system in Ghana is another victim of this rampant corruption. Metro mass transit and STC, once reliable means of transportation for the public, are now struggling to survive. Their buses and vehicles are left to deteriorate, with more spoiled cars and buses than active ones. The same cycle of greed plays out here. The drivers, mechanics, administrators, and even the transport ministry all want their share of the inflated repair costs. But should we always blame the government, the politicians, or the civil servants? The problem is systemic. Everyone involved sees spoiled vehicles as an opportunity to enrich themselves, rather than an issue that needs to be resolved for the benefit of the public. The government is left with the impossible choice of either paying exorbitant amounts to repair these vehicles or abandoning them altogether. As a result, the public transportation system is collapsing. Buses that should be serving the public are left unused, while citizens are forced to find alternative, often more expensive, means of transportation. The corruption that infects the maintenance of government vehicles is causing real harm to the people of Ghana. Given the widespread nature of corruption in Ghana, it is easy to feel hopeless. The government is chasing after money, its appointees are chasing after money, and the workers are chasing after money. Corruption seems to be ingrained in every aspect of the system, making it difficult to imagine a future where things are different. The truth is, there are still loyal Ghanaians and politicians who are not corrupt. These individuals continue to fight for what is right, even in the face of overwhelming odds. But can the minority truly fight against the majority? It is hard to say. The system is so deeply entrenched that it seems unlikely that a few honest individuals can make a difference. And yet, they continue to try. There is still hope for Ghana, but it will require a concerted effort from all levels of society to root out the corruption that has taken hold. Corruption in Ghana is a serious issue that affects every aspect of society, from the maintenance of government vehicles to the management of public transportation. The greed and dishonesty of those in power have created a system that is failing the people of Ghana. But should we always blame the government, the politicians, or the civil servants? The truth is, the problem is much deeper than that. It is a systemic issue that affects everyone, from the top levels of government to the everyday workers who are simply trying to make a living. But there is still hope. There are still loyal and honest Ghanaians who are fighting against corruption, even in the face of overwhelming odds. If we want to see real change in Ghana, we must all come together to fight against this cycle of greed and dishonesty. This is Ghana AI News. Subscribe to this channel and join the fight against corruption in Ghana. Which part of Ghana are you watching this video from? Do you know of a country with officials more corrupt than Ghana? Share your thoughts with us. Let's work together to create a better future for our nation.
Yenora yasasini ya bodindi maye mojana na nom shegu nyadeto o maye edrume ne wonsoso seyebe ye biatwaso nimdiancha so koto krani nyampese minkuminya ediye bremudama ya sasewodo atumse. Oh my no sebe yo, oh my no serinye yo, and yes no se, oh my for nature, oh my no sebe yo, oh my no serinye yo, and yes no se, oh my for nature.